Meeting, call to order a special meeting for Johnson County Council on this 21st day of July 2005. Amy, will you do roll call, please?
Pamela Burton.
Present.
Jonathan Myers. Melinda Griesemer.
Here.
John Mallers.
Here.
Michelle Ann Graves.
Here.
John Dittmers.
Here.
Ron Bates.
Present.
Jonathan Myers.
He appears to be online, but without able to communicate. So if he can come in a minute, we can validate that. I'm going to give a brief invocation. If you care to join me, bow your heads, please. Dear Lord, thank you for bringing us together today. As we look toward the 2026 budget, we ask for your wisdom and guidance. Help us to make fair and thoughtful decisions, that we can use our resources wisely and support the needs of our community. In Jesus' name, amen. Let's stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I want to start out by saying we have copies of the guideline document that we're going to be going over shortly. Amy has them. If anybody would like to take one. We'll also be sending those via email this evening. So you'll have them when you get home or in the morning. And then the computer department's going to display them on the screen when we go over. I have some information to open with, and then you'll be hearing from each of our council members this evening. And we will be discussing guidelines. Each of us have taken the last few days and reviewed and prepared our thoughts on the WIS study and the 2026 budget moving forward. So you will hear from everyone. So County Council engaged the services, as you all know, of Wagner, Irwin, and Shealy for the purpose of conducting a comprehensive salary study for Johnson County. Their research revealed internal inequities existed within like job classifications and recommended a base salary be established for each job classification to ensure internal pay equity for all county employees. The process involved reviewing both internal and external data, comparing job titles, departments, and salaries to market standards and among government units in Indiana. This was based on those findings. We now have a clear picture of where the pay and equities exist. Our goal is to use the study results to close wage gaps and ensure equal pay for equal work for all employees, directors, department heads, and elected officials. Recommendations from our last meeting were for departments to zero a budget their 200, 300, and 400 series line items. The budget process is a collaborative effort of all parties, and with your help, we anticipate staying within the recommended overall budget increase as advised by our financial consultant. The budgetary guidelines that have been provided are intended solely for the purpose of initial planning and discussion as you prepare to submit your budgets by the July 25th, 2025 deadline. They do not represent a final or binding decision of this council. These figures are a part of an ongoing dialogue as we head into budget season, and council intends to review the figures further and make final decisions after budget hearings. I'm sure everyone's going to have additional questions after tonight's meeting. Our plan of action is to email those questions directly to me with a copy to Michelle Graves and our legal team, Tiffany Costley and Taylor Webster. And we will direct those questions to the party where you can get the quickest answer and the most accurate answer. And we will be monitoring our emails very closely. You can reach out to any of the council members, but that's my recommendation for a quick response. As I said, the deadline for submissions the 25th. This will give council some time before the first reading to review every budget that has been submitted and contact you individually if they are your liaison with their questions and concerns. So that gives them, or, gives part of August. Tonight is not to debate your budget. Tonight is not to hear what you need to do different and how you need more, or how you need less, or why you, that's not what tonight is about. Tonight is about this council agreeing and voting on the instructions that you are to follow to submit your first budget for first reading, or your budget for first reading. So with that, we'll move forward, starting with Vice President Michelle Graves. And you will put that presentation, she'll go first on this presentation. And at best, at some points, this may be repetitive for the different departments. We've tried to make it as less confusing as possible. But we are only human as well. So with that, I'll turn it over to Michelle, and the computer department will go from there. Questions at the end, I would ask that you limit them. Everybody's welcome to speak, but I would ask you that you limit it to the budget guidelines, not to your actual budgets. That's for another time.
Okay, so to get started, can you hear me? Is that better? Sorry. To get started, these are the 2026 budget guidelines for fellow council members for us to hear and discuss in this public forum. As always, I would like to state these are guidelines and do not oblige the council to any department request. The council understands that there may be certain positions, circumstances that will not conform with these guidelines and must be considered on a case-by-case basis. All directors and elected officials are responsible for reviewing the accuracy of job titles and 2025 salary information used by the WIS salary study. This study contains salary recommendations that are substantial and will require further evaluation by council at first reading. For the purpose of calculating your 2025 salary for each employee, 2025 salary is total pay for the employee that includes all sources of income, such as special pay, stipends, bonuses, supplements, pay from additional line items, or any supplemental pay received from the state. And you should have already gotten a head start on that because that request was made a week ago on Monday. Note, these additional pay items may not be included on the WIS study, but should be used in the below calculations. Job classifications for Pole Civilian, LTC, PAT, and COMOT. And this is using your WIS study results. If you don't have that, reach out and we'll make sure you do get a copy of that. If the 2025 salary column exceeds the internal base salary column, there will be no salary increase for 2026. A one-time stipend of $1,000 is to be given to the employee. If the 2025 salary column is below the internal base salary column, the salary for 2026 will be the internal base salary column. If the cost to internal column is less than $1,000, the difference between the two is a one-time stipend for 2026. And there's an example given on how to do the math. Job classifications for SO attorneys, SO special occupations, executive, and poll merit. If the 2025 salary column exceeds the external midpoint salary column, There will be no salary increase for 2026. A one-time stipend of $1,000 is to be given to the employee. If the 2025 salary is below the external midpoint salary column, the 2026 salary will be the external midpoint salary column. If the cost to external midpoint column is less than $1,000, the difference between the two is a one-time stipend for 2026. Chief deputies. You'll be using the option 2 85% of elected official average salary column to determine the salary for 2026. If the cost to option 2 column is less than $1,000, the difference between the two is a one-time stipend for 2026. Elected officials. Use the external average salary row as shown on the WIS study to determine the salary for 2026. We already know of exceptions to this, and that is the coroner, surveyor, assessor, and sheriff, and those will need to be addressed individually. SO probation. The 2026 minimum salary schedule for probation officers as adopted by the Judicial Conference of Indiana is to be used for 2026 salaries. If the cost to 2026 minimum salary column is less than $1,000, the difference between the two is a one-time stipend for 2026. Johnson County has historically set the salary higher than the 2026 minimum salary schedule referenced above and is in compliance with IC 36-2-16.5-3. This conscious decision by the council for this year does not obligate the payment of probation officers above the minimum set salary by the Judicial Conference for any other year. Freezing all new position hires for 2026, with the exception for public safety or statutory staffing requirements. Now, that does not mean if you have a current position, someone leaves, you need to fill that. That is not a new position hire. So that is the guidelines that are up for discussion.
Okay, we will move on to Mr. Ditmers. And anything that you would like to add, suggest, take away, consider with your research this week?
Not really. The only thing I would do, I've got a couple comments. The only thing I would like to do is commend Pam, you and Michelle for the work you've done the last couple of weeks putting this together. Under the circumstances, I think this is as good a approach as any as far as normalizing pay, again, under the circumstances we're in. I will say, and this won't come as a surprise to anybody because I've been consistent on this all along. I'm still at a loss as to why we can't do it now. I realize that, but why we can't work toward a performance-based salary schedule. And my thought on that is take a lot of work. So it's not going to happen overnight, but to start working toward that seems to not be a bad plan, because what this concept does, it misses the performance metrics. People are different, work ethic's different, quality of work, quality of output's different. So there's no way of really recognizing that within the workforce. Now, I will also say, absent an HR director of some kind, not of some kind, an HR director, that would be very difficult to pull off. But I still think it could be a long-term goal. And I think that you got to start somewhere. And I get a little frustrated when I'm told you can't do that because it's government work. I believe you can. You have to want to, and you have to commit to it, and you have to do it. So that's.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Great. You're up.
Well, it's good to be here, number one. Number two, I would also chime in with the.
That's really isn't necessary. Everybody has had
And the work
input,
that
but
you've
thank
done for
you,
that.
thank you.
The small part that I have played in this so far, of course, is reaching out to my liaisons. And somewhat, I get surprised because I've only gotten a report back from just one of those liaisons, and that's been given to, the council here, and that was from the Parks Department. And otherwise, I'm seeing this as a good starting place and a good way to expedite, and maybe that's not the best word to use, but to work toward, yes, work toward the ultimate goal of obviously honoring and doing right our employees, and with the funds that we have, knowing what that may be different down the road as well. But of course, we just take it 1 year at a time, and that we reward them according to their due diligence.
Thank you. Mr. Mallers?
I just want to piggyback on what Mr. Dittmer said. Thank you to the president, vice president, a lot of heavy lifting on this, a lot of hours. So thank you very much. I think I have absolutely no qualms with any of it. The only thing, and this applied to the state of Indiana. I don't think it applies to us, but I've never been a big fan of hiring freezes, because I think what that does is it creates problems when you start hiring, because you've let it go for a while and now you're scrambling to fill a lot of positions. But again, that's for, the state of Indiana with 20,000 some odd employees, and here we have 600-700. So I don't think it's going to be an issue here. That was really the only question or comment that I had.
And that would be for 1 year, right? When then we
Yeah.
would
I don't know,
revisit it.
that would have said.
But
Yeah.
again, yeah,
26,
it's for 26.
Yeah,
You done?
yes.
It's Christopher.
Yeah, so life is evolving and government is no different. So I support what's been suggested here. I also would like to state that I really do feel like this past year, with all the human resource issues that have been brought forth to us, that we really do need to look again at hiring an HR person.
Okay, does anyone have any?
Do we have Jonathan T online?
Oh, that's right. Did we get,
He hasn't unmuted.
can we text him? Hang on,
John,
Mhm.
do you have his text?
I do. Let me text him real quick and see if he gets it.
While you're doing that, could I maybe comment on John's observation about hiring freeze? I just know, just from my perspective, I see this request for 2026 is needed because we have SB1 coming down the pike at us. And we don't know how that's gonna shake out. I don't think everyone does yet. But to be proactive, I think doing a hiring freeze for this year, like the state is doing, the city of Greenwood is doing, it's not an uncommon practice for 2026 budgets, that this will help protect the employees that we already have if we do get into a financial situation in 27 and 28. That was my only
Yeah,
comment.
that's fair
Yeah.
enough. And like I said, I didn't think it really applied to us as
Yeah.
much as it did to the state.
John just texted me. He says he can't unmute.
Okay. Okay. Well, I did want to say something about I've always been an advocate of longevity, and I've got one more year on council. And no one can speak of what a future council will do. But I would hope at some point in the future that once these base salaries are equalized and there's equity, that might be something that the county look toward in the future. Because I think that also, piggybacking off of what you said, is also very important. And if anybody takes anything away from this work that's been done by everyone. We tried to be employee, director, and elected official friendly. We come from behind the lines. So, we did our best to try to do that. Everybody's not gonna be happy, but I don't, and some are gonna be very happy. We did the best we could do to make it right. The word COLA was not mentioned because there is no cost of living associated to this, but the one-time stipend would obviously be more than the state's recommended 2.5 on the base. So that's how we came up with that. So everyone would receive something. So
So that, just to be clear, this is an equity income increase, not a COLA.
right, exactly what she said. So I guess I know I want to give everybody the opportunity to speak, other than John Myers, and he's on mute. So could I entertain, is it appropriate to entertain a motion at this point for the 2026 budget guidelines?
Yeah.
Okay,
I would make a motion to accept the 2026 budget guidelines as presented, and more specifically with the printed version that you have in front of all the council members tonight.
Can I clarify something?
yes, you can.
So normally when we budget, we do whole numbers.
Absolutely.
So the example has the cents and stuff.
Right.
So you
So
like
if
to round.
You get those numbers, if you're at 32 cents, it's gonna be rounded from the amount. So if it takes $100 or $99 to get you to that base budget.
Look at the example.
Yeah, I know that it has an odd amount, right?
Well, I'm just saying.
The cents are on there.
Yeah, but we're gonna round those cents up, correct?
And we'll correct that example for the email tomorrow. How about that? Yeah, whole numbers are easier.
Rounding up or down.
Okay, so we have a first on the floor with the coming correction of the rounding the numbers. And a second, I forget who did it, I'm sorry. Debate. Well, let's do a roll call vote on this, Amy, since this is so. You can't.
You can't vote if you can't,
Well, no, we have to be able to see, yeah, he can.
you can't vote.
Can he text me his vote? Is it no? No,
Can State College say it there?
We're
Over the
supposed to be able
phone.
to see and hear.
okay, well, do we have, there's a quorum here to take a.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing no opposition, it passes. Now, we'll open the floor. If anyone would like to come to the podium, state your name and what department you're with, and any questions you have regarding the proposed guidelines or any information we've given this evening.
Sheena Johnson, Court Administrator. Procedurally, how are we entering those stipends in our budgets? Is it a separate line item for all of them, or is it included in the actual salary? I'm assuming not the latter, because if it were, then it would be included in next year's
Right.
salary, and you don't want it to be. So is it a separate line item?
Yes, it's gonna come out of our budget.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, so each department won't mess with the stipend, just the actual salary. All the stipend amounts will be in the council's budget.
Do we need to propose those stipend amounts, or is that math that the auditor's going to be?
that's just gonna be an automatic math thing.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Good question.
Question. Yeah.
Anybody else? Okay, well, if there's no further, yes?
I just have one question. I know this is guidelines, but if we happen to miss something along the way, could it be amended?
And that is why it's stated in there that that everything in here is subject to review by this council.
So.
Exactly.
You would go through the amendment process.
Right, right. Even though we've looked at every single
Sure.
lines, mistakes are made, you overlook things, situations are different. So it was stipulated in there at the beginning that that is all subject to approval here, even after presentation of the budget.
Fair enough.
There's no further discussion and no additional questions. I'll motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you very much.